Okay, so like, have you ever thought about how those little words, the and a, those could like be the key to a whole other language?
Yeah.
Seriously. In German, they totally are. We're talking about articles and,
Yeah, those are way trickier than they seem.
right. In English, we just kind of slap a the on there and call it a day.
Not in German. No way. German likes to keep things interesting.
It's true. And we are going to unpack all of that using the research that you shared in podcastinput.txt.
Yep.
Don't worry, though. We'll break down these like kind of complex grammar rules into, manageable pieces.
Yeah.
No need to memorize an entire textbook.
Yeah.
But by the end of this deep dive,
Yeah.
you'll get the logic, behind these der, and das words.
Yeah.
They won't seem so random anymore.
Exactly. It's like a code. Once you understand the rules, you'll see the patterns.
Yes, exactly. So let's just start with the basics. So in English, like the is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
What makes articles so different in German?
I think the major difference is how German structures its sentences. In English, we rely like a lot on word order to figure out who's doing what to whom.
Yeah.
But German uses something called grammatical cases, which change the endings of articles and nouns to signal their function in a sentence.
Okay, so it's less about like the individual words and more about how they all work together, like like pieces of a puzzle.
Precisely. And those articles are like the glue, holding those pieces together.
Right.
Plus, German nouns have gender masculine, feminine, or neuter, and the articles have to match.
Oh, right. So unlike in English where we just have the German has der for masculine, die for feminine, and dies for neuter.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a lot to like keep track of.
It can seem overwhelming, yeah. But it's all about recognizing those patterns.
Right.
And that's where declension comes in. It's how those articles change based on a noun's gender and it function in the sentence.
Declension. Okay, that sounds like a very fancy grammar term.
It is. It's just a fancy way of saying that articles decline or like change their form.
Okay.
Depending on whether the noun is the subject of the sentence, the object of the verb, that kind of thing. Receiving something, possessing something.
Right. So it's like each situation has its own like code, and those article endings are the key to cracking it.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So like if I say a boy in German, that's ein Junge, right?
Yes.
But what happens if the boy is receiving something like a gift?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's where we see declension in action.
Okay.
The indefinite article ein needs to change to einem to reflect the change in case.
Okay.
So I give the boy a gift would be ich gebe dem Jungen ein Geschenk.
Okay.
And you'll notice that Junge didn't change because it's masculine, and the dative case singular and plural form are the same.
Wait, dative case. Okay, you're already throwing more grammar terms at me.
Oh, sorry. I get a little carried away.
It's okay.
The dative case simply tells us who or what is on the receiving end of an action.
Gotcha.
In this example, the boy is receiving the gift.
Right.
So we use the dative form of both the article and the noun.
Okay, I see. So it's like those Russian dolls.
Yes.
You open one up, and there's another one inside and another, but like each layer makes sense once you see how it fits into the whole.
Yes. I love that analogy. And just like with those dolls, you don't have to like master every single detail right away.
Right.
We'll unpack each layer, gradually.
So we've tackled ein, but what about its partner in crime, the definite article like the?
Right.
I'm guessing it's not as simple as slapping der in front of every noun.
Right. You are right about that. Just like ein, der, along with die and das,
Right.
have to agree with the gender and case of the noun they're attached to.
Okay. In our source material, there's a chart that looks pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's like a grid of all the different forms that der, die, and das can take.
Yeah, think of it like a map, It seems complex at first, but once you know, like, how to navigate it,
Right.
you can find your way through any sentence.
Okay.
And believe it or not, there's, like, a beautiful logic to these endings.
I am ready for this logic lesson. What kind of patterns should we be looking for here?
For starters, notice how the plural forms of the are always die,
Okay.
no matter the case. The cats, the dogs, the books, it's always, die Katzen, die Hunde, die Bücher.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is actually way simpler than English, where we have to remember to use the plural noun, too. So die for all plurals.
Oh.
Okay, got it. But what about those singular forms? They seem to change quite a bit.
They do. But there's a rhyme and reason to it.
Okay.
The masculine and neuter nominative forms are unique, der and des.
Mm-hmm.
But look at how the other cases in those columns follow a pattern,
Hold on. I think I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the definite articles. Those der words from our research, like dieser, this, jeder, every welcher witch, they follow the same pattern.
Yes, exactly. It's like a secret code has been unlocked. Once you've mastered those definite article endings,
Right.
you've unlocked a whole category of German grammar. It's like a domino effect.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what about those possessive pronouns?
Yeah.
Like my, your, his, her, our. How do those fit into all of this?
Another great question. So those German possessive pronouns like mein, dein, sein, ihr, unser, euer, and ihr actually function quite similarly to the indefinite article ein when it comes to their endings.
Gotcha. So if I wanted to say my dog is big, knowing that dog is masculine, would I use mine and then change the ending based on the case?
Precisely. You've got it.
Okay.
In this case, dog is the subject, so it's in the nominative case. So you would say, mein Hund ist groß.
Okay.
But if you were to say, I give the bone to my dog, the case changes.
Right.
And so would the ending on mein. It would become meinem, since dog is now the indirect object.
Okay, this is fascinating. But what about possessive pronouns like dessen, deren, and wessen? Those seems like a whole other beast.
Those are the tricksters of the possessive pronoun world. They're used when you want to show possession, but in a less direct way.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Instead of saying the man's dog, you could say the dog that belongs to the man.
Ah, okay.
You see?
So it's like they're replacing the possessive S
exactly
that we use in English.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Those possessive pronouns actually take their endings from the definite articles.
Oh, wow.
So you have dessen for masculine and neuter nouns.
Okay.
Dessen for feminine and plural nouns. And wessen when you're asking whose.
Okay, that's a lot to take in, but I think I'm starting to see the logic.
Good.
It's all about the relationship between the words,
Yeah.
not just the words themselves.
That's it. You're getting it. Okay? And that's like a fundamental concept in German grammar.
Okay.
Now, are you ready to dive into those tricky cases we mentioned earlier? Dative and genitive?
Okay, yeah, bring it on. Those dative and genitive cases.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I have to admit always kind of trip me up a little bit.
Yeah.
They just seem a bit more abstract
Yeah.
than just saying who did what to whom,
Yeah, they're definitely more nuanced, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you can think of them as like adding another layer of precision to the language.
Okay.
The dative case, for instance, often highlights the indirect object of a sentence. So kind of like the recipient of the action.
Okay, so like in that example from the research, ich schenke dem Kind einen Ball. So like, I give the child a ball.
Yeah, perfect example.
Okay.
So here, dem Kind, which means to the child, is our dative phrase. It's telling us who is on the receiving end of that very generous ball giving.
Okay, yeah. And kind, child, that's neuter, right?
Yeah.
But because it's dative singular, we use them, not des.
Exactly.
Oh man. It's like those article endings really do hold like the secrets.
They do. Now the genitive case, that one is often used to kind of express possession or a close relationship between two nouns.
Okay.
And the research gives a great example, which is Das Haus meiner Großeltern ist sehr alt. The house of my grandparents is very old.
Right. So meiner Großeltern of my grandparents. That's our genitive phrase there.
Exactly.
Showing who the house belongs to.
Yes. And notice how the possessive pronoun meiner also changes its ending.
Right.
To agree with the plural noun Großeltern.
Wow.
Yeah, even within the phrase, those agreements are crucial.
This is making so much more sense now. I'm starting to see these articles and these endings less as obstacles and more like, helpful signposts just on guiding us through the sentence.
Yes. That's the perfect way to think about it. German grammar, it can seem very intimidating at first, but it's incredibly precise and logical.
Yeah.
And once you understand the system,
right,
you can really see the beauty and how it all just works together.
Yeah, it's like we've cracked the code.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who maybe are feeling a little overwhelmed right now, what's the one key takeaway that you would want them to remember about German articles?
I would say don't get lost in the details.
Okay.
Focus on the bigger picture. How do the articles work with those cases to actually show the relationships between the words?
Right.
It's about understanding, like, the why, not just the what.
Okay, that's fantastic advice. So maybe grab, like, a German newspaper article.
Yeah.
Or a children's book, even.
Totally.
And just, like, see if you can spot, those cases, those article endings in action.
Have some fun with it.
Yeah, you might be surprised at how much you remember.
Exactly.
Well, on that note of embracing the challenge and having fun with German grammar, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It's been fun.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone.